Okay, hello and welcome to the first section on how to use Audacity. This is designed for Bill Graves' Genesis project, but if you're tuning in for other reasons, you should still be able to learn something here. So this is Audacity. So let's go ahead and open it up. It is this icon right here on my desktop. So I'm going to double click it, and it's going to open up for us. So there we are. We are now in Audacity. This is obviously empty. Nothing's been brought into it. I'm just going to take a quick second and go over what you are looking at here. So if everybody sees my mouse pointer right here, we're going to bring it up to the upper left of the screen. And what we're looking at right here is the transport controls. These are just kind of like on a standard DVD player or your iPod. You get pause, play, stop, go to the very start of the presentation, go to the end of the presentation, and then record if you decide to record inside the browser, or excuse me, inside the program. Directly next to it is your tool panel. The ones that we're primarily going to be using is this selection tool, this one right here, and then the time shift tool. But there is also an envelope tool for adjusting your sound envelope, a draw tool in case you need to define where the envelope lies, a multi-mode tool which allows you to do various functions at once, but generally speaking we won't be using that, and then the zoom tool, which I tend to use just the zoom keys on the side. Moving on over, we have an output level. This is what your presentation is going to sound like. Just as a frame of reference, a good level for an output level is between this -12 area and this 0 area. And then you have an input level. This is if you are recording onto the microphone itself. And what will happen is as you speak, levels will bounce. And again, you want to try and keep it between this -12 and this -0 area. Moving over again, we then have your overall volume output. Generally speaking, you want to have this all the way up, just because that way you know what your presentation is actually going to sound like. You then have a volume control right next to here for your input. If you've plugged in a microphone or you're using the desktop microphone, this is where you adjust that input level. Directly below it is your playback speed. You can speed it up or slow it down as needed, but again, generally speaking, you're going to want to keep it right where it is. We're going to skip this little area here because it doesn't apply, but it is the audio host in case you're curious. This tool section over here, we have cut, which is pretty self-explanatory. It allows you to cut out clips. We then have the copy button, the paste button. We have what's called trim audio. This will eliminate all audio outside of the area you've highlighted. So if you have only a specific area that you need to play and everything else is not needed, you can go ahead and use that trim audio button. We then have silence audio, which is going to silence the audio in the area you have selected and leave everything else as it is. We then have your best friends. This is the undo button, and this is the redo button. If you seem to mess up, you can go ahead and click the undo button. It's going to undo what you did. In this program, I believe there's up to 6 undos, so you can undo 6 times without having to worry about it. We then have the sync lock of tracks. This is something you may want to conduct after you have your presentation all lined up. But again, not something that's necessary. And then we have the zoom icon. So we had it over here with the actual zoom tool. I tend to not use a zoom tool and just use the zoom icon. So you can zoom in or zoom out. And then directly next to it is fit section and fit to project. So that's going to fit the screen to the specific selection you've made, or it's going to fit the screen to the specific project you have. Down below it is what you're using for an output device. In this case, we are using the speakers. But if you had either headphones or something else connected that you needed to output to, that's where you'd select that. And then we have the microphone input, which at this current juncture is the microphone on the on the laptop. Last part is whether it's a stereo or a mono track. Stereo is a left and right. Mono is just a single channel, which is then broken into left and right when it's played. So that's just a brief tutorial of what you have for controls up top. I'm going to try and keep these short. So if you want to continue with this progression, go ahead and tune into the next clip.